Public radio and public TV is now being recognized with a great, great individual who's been doing news and doing features and radio brilliantly for so long. Here she is, Lisa Mullins.
Lisa Mullins. I'm getting a chance to talk to Lisa Mullins?
It's a good day to be a Sox player. The World Series winning Red Sox were treated to a duck boat parade in Boston today with adoring fans waiting to greet them as they pass by. There were thousands of fans, red, white, and blue graffiti, even a few anti-Yankees chants. This is All Things Considered.
So are you convinced that we did not go to war on faulty assumptions?
We went to war because this was a despotic regime that had weapons of mass destruction.
North Korean military guards stood sentry. One was on a hill, another in a small wooden shelter. Some of them carried Kalashnikovs. Just then, the skies open up. They all huddle under umbrellas, and she tells us her story.
How long have you been using?
15 years.
How come you're ready now?
It's harder. Like they said, the runs get shorter, and it's harder to find dope around here these days, too.
He communicates through a computer because ALS took away his voice. He uses a tiny mouse, a metallic circle on the bridge of his glasses, to point at words and letters scrolling rapid fire on a computer screen.
I am completely dependent on others, and will be for the rest of my life.
It's 4:01. News headlines are next.
And here to present the award to Lisa is David Freudberg, executive producer at Human Media, and he has written and edited more than 800 productions, most broadcast on NPR. David, please come forward.
Hello, I'll try to be brief. I first met Lisa Mullins at WGBH back in 1977 when we looked a little bit different. And when I was a squeaky-voiced reporter contributing Boston stories to NPR's All Things Considered, and she was a dulcet-voiced Simmons sophomore who arrived at the station with insatiable curiosity, boundless energy, and a palpable humility. Her personal modesty has not always been emulated by some of her colleagues in public radio, but it remains one of Lisa's most inspiring and endearing attributes to this very day, despite the spectacular success that she has attained in the years since. She came to work with me at our production company in Belmont when we developed a documentary series titled The Vegetable Chronicles, funded by the National Institutes of Health, and she served as quiz mistress on the National Fruits and Nuts Quiz Show. Many of you recognize her as the current WBUR anchor of All Things Considered. Her work on NPR's Here and Now, and also from her amazing run of 14 years as anchor of The World, produced at WGBH with the BBC and heard on public radio international stations across the country. She's interviewed everyone, and I mean everyone on the world stage, from Colin Powell, as we've seen, to Liv Ullmann, to Red Sox pitcher Louis Tiant. I've seen close up Lisa's steady work ethic and her journalistic chops, but most notable for me is what could be called her velvet focus. Her lovely voice and genuinely sweet nature are plain for all to see and hear, as countless coworkers and listeners will attest. But what's not immediately obvious is the intense journalistic focus that Lisa trains on the people and topics that she covers. I've been on the receiving end of that very laser focus on occasions when she's advised me on a script. And I've always been aware of a silent presence that accompanies Lisa. It's her beloved mom, Jean, who's with us here today, and who has been a rock and a foundation for her beautiful daughter's achievements, so deservedly being honored at this ceremony. Lisa, Ken is watching and is justly proud.
My mother, Jean, is right over there. She doesn't want you to see her. If you didn't catch it, the voice in the beginning of the videotape, the man who said, "I'm going to talk to Lisa Mullins," that was the underground comic book writer, the man behind American Splendor, Harvey Pekar. And the silhouette of two people on camels in the Sahara, the one in back was me, and I couldn't walk for days after that. The first photo in the montage was taken in Fitchburg at WEIM, which is a night quality station. I was in my 20s. We had 4 reporters and a sports director in a room about the size of the bathroom here, probably even smaller. And that job taught me lessons about life and about broadcasting that are still invaluable today. Because I remember my first week on the air, there was one of the most established manufacturers in town, Great American Chemical Company, went on strike. In the afternoon broadcast, I typed out, "Things are not so great at Great American Chemical," and I thought that's really clever. And as soon as I got off the air, I got a phone call from a woman in Fitchburg, and she said that her husband worked for Great American Chemical and was one of the workers going out on strike, and she wanted me to know what a toll that was going to be taking on her and her family and their livelihoods, and that I should remember that. It was one of the most constructive listener rants that I ever had, and it taught me that nearly every story has real people behind it, and they walk by me every day, and they are me, and that I needed to remember that when I covered the news and supposedly craft a pithy headline, that I am talking about real people. So that Fitchburg woman was one of the first and most valuable teachers I had, and as I thought of what I wanted to say today, I realized that what stands out most in my mind is not just the thousands of stories that we cover and the gazillion people that we interview, but the professionals in the business who we meet along the way, who slip us a kind word every now and then, give us a jolt of confidence when we feel like we're falling or failing. I remember one person who showed me the ropes. The first day I covered the State House, it was Joe Day, who was at Channel 7 at the time, and he pointed out to me who to watch, exactly who was going to make what kind of move, who I probably wanted to talk to for a local story, and I'll never forget that. Other people in my formative days, especially Anne McGrath, Cokie Roberts, Bob Ferrante, David Kando from Canada, and the wonderful man you just heard from, David Freudberg, and also countless people at WBUR, which is my radio home. I adore this business that we are in. As a reporter, I love the fact that I have some strange license to pry into people's lives and ask irritating questions, and that they can trust me to tell their stories. I am also really honored to be in this class of inductees whose work in broadcast in all forms holds a special place in my life. This wonderful induction comes at an otherwise difficult time for me because last month I lost my partner of 27 years. David just mentioned him, to pancreatic cancer. His name was Ken Bader. He was an extraordinary public radio journalist and an exacting editor and producer. He was supposed to be here today, in fact, and if he had, he surely would have told you, some of you, his mantra, which was, "It's not journalism if there's no food." We had a celebration of life for Ken this past Sunday, and I want to end with the words that Ken's brother spoke, words that are at the heart of what we all do and what we all live. His brother read an excerpt of a verse, Ken's favorite verse, he said, from Scripture. "Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech or the press." Thank you for this award.